Hello. Welcome to my new series. In here, I will teach you how to do some Java exercises that I found randomly or was given in my Java class. So you can also learn how to do them. I'll explain them very simple. It's for simply you for shoot, it's for you to simply understand how to do it and maybe also do some practice on your own. First, let's see here. I got some here that could help us. Invert. Let's do this one. Invert an array without using the collections imports. So first, let's start. What are imports? Imports in Java are important since Java is object-based oriented. So imports like import list, import array list, linked list, scanner, queues, iterators. These are like packages that bring you already implemented methods. So if I do like an array list, import array list, I could do a list that it's basically just a list in another word. I can just add stuff to it or take them away. Depending on what the exercise wants you to do, then you can just do it. For import list, it's good if you don't know if you want to do an linked list or an array list. So it's like the parent class. So now that we know what is an import, let's start with files. In Java, you have to create a class. It depends on the classes. Look at all of these classes. For now, we're gonna use the practice class. Then, yeah, it will always be here. You can always start your code with this practice class, or depending if you have an exam or you have to call this a main. You remember if you want to change here, it will appear a prompt. Like if I want to call this main, it will give me an error, but it will give you the option to rename the files here. So yeah, you can fix it right there. Well then, let's begin with coding. I'll explain things as they are. Oh, and before I continue, in here you need to use the scanner to do your inputs and outputs. You don't need to import nothing about that. So in Java, it's a little bit complicated. Sometimes the code is just long, but it's basically if you know C++ or you could do a little bit of Java, though you gotta learn the new syntax. So let's begin then, shall we? Well, let's start with the import array list. Of course, we need array list. That's what the exercise says. Now that we already had it imported, so we don't really need to import it right now. So let's just start doing classes or methods that could help us do this code faster. So we could start with public. Public means that anyone could use it. Anything in this class, in this file. You always got a code inside these brackets here. And then after public, you want to use a static because if you don't use static, because we want to code in the same area, so not in a different file. So static will help us code in the same class and use methods there. And after that, you want to use an array list integer. Why an array list integer? Well, this is you could also use void, but we want us to return a list. It says in the exercise, so we're gonna use this is our condition to return an integer depending in Java, these are the advanced ones when it's like the name. If you put int, that it's the primitive one. So this is used for objects and classes, or I mean objects, yeah. And int are used for variables. We'll get into those when I'll present them. But just know that this is, you need to return something if you put this. Then after that, well, you want to put whatever name you want, as long as, oh, of course, you're gonna put it reverse. And then after that, you want to, of course, another array list. Why, you may ask? Because this method needs something we can modify. So, and of course, you gotta not forget the data type. And then you can just also put another. This is what is a variable. It's variables. They just store data. It can be used, but in Java you gotta specify what data you're using. And we're giving an error here, but it says because we need this method must have a return type that is an array list. So yeah, means this means that we done this code line correctly. Then after that, we want to start with a base. I think we could do this with a basic while loop. Whereas while loops, well, the maintainer they like run the code, and then if you don't put if they do not meet the criteria, it will be infinitely and probably destroy your computer. No, not really, but you could say it mostly like that. So first, for this problem, we just want to create data types that could store our information. So we could do int start equals 0, because we're gonna start in array list, in a list. You know, in a list, when you put stuff, we start at the start of the list. So it's like if we have like milk, a grocery list like milk, ham, cheese, or sandwiches. If we start the start, of course, it's gonna be 0, since in Java, list any kind, so now that I know of, any kind of list always goes to 0, 1, 2, and 3. Those are the index. 0 has, inside of that 0, there's the inside of that, the index. It's like the real object that we need, or the real variable or number that has stored in it. So if it's 0 and it stored 1, then index index 1 has like 2, and so on and so forth. So then int end, because we also want to start at the end. Remember, we need to reverse, so we need to swap them from the end of the list to the start. But we're not gonna equal to 0. We wanna use the list. Since we're using an array list, of course there's already methods that already has inside it. So we're gonna use size and -1. We wanted -1 because remember that isn't it, this the size will always be bigger than the index. So index is 0 to 8, then the list size will be 9. While start, it's is less than end. Start is less than end. So once they in the list they meet, it will stop the while loop. So that means it's already switched everything. Then we would like to use. Oh wait, I almost forgot right now. We also need a int hold. This will hold all our values because once we do the switching stuff, it will erase it. So we need to hold it just to put it in the back in the list. So list dot. Let's see here. See list dot set. I think it is. So we need to set it. No, but before that, hold must come first. That will be list dot get. We're gonna get our index. Of course, we're gonna go with the start one. You could do it in. I think you could also do it reverse. But for now, we'll stick to the just the concentrate on making the swap. Hold. Then it will be. We could use list again. Dot set. What am I using list? Well, because we will have it here, so we're modifying this list and then returning it here. And you also, since we have get start, we want to go with start here. This place here, and when set is working, you can also do. We need an index. So since it's 0, it will be our first list, our first item in the list. So it will change that to whatever we want to put it here. So if we want to put this any item in the list, so we just do list dot get end, and that's how we do it. You also gotta use this stuff to make some of the codes work. It's mostly every time, but it only works for normal variables and list that doesn't has to do with whiles or methods. So now that we have our set it, that means this now is the end in it's the end the number at the end is now at the start. And now you do the same that set. Now we want to use end, and instead of getting list dot get end, we just hold, and that's I think that's how you do it. Let's now test the code. Before that, oh wait, I almost forgot my return. We need a return type. So remember to always do it before this because this is the whiles. All of this is the while that has to do. So we're gonna do it here, downwards. Remember that the code always goes from top to bottom. So this start will be activated first, and then end will be activated first, and then hold will be created, and then it will enter in the while, and we'll do all of the loop stuff. So until the start and end meet each other. Now that we have that, we would need to create a return. So just it's literally just write return and then list because the list is now changed. And then to test that, we need to use the basic Java thing that you must know from. It's basically just like a method you must know from the mind. It's just like a magic word. Just learn it, and you could do mostly any input and outputs. It was always gonna be public static void main. Void doesn't return anything, so static you could use it in the class, and it will have the parentheses but won't have nothing, so we could use it. Wait, no, it does have something. Wait. I've been trying to study for the exam, so I've been trying to remember, and doing this will also help me to practice even more. You're gonna use string because you're gonna think like this. You're gonna use it for inputs and outputs, so you're gonna write in it. ARGS. That one you have to learn it from memory. So next things is we actually now creating a list that we're gonna put stuff in it. You could do a for loop if you want to put it in with a scanner, but for this exercise, I'm just gonna do it manually. So just manually so we can hurry up. Now that we have array list, we also have to create, of course, what data it is integer, and then after that we create the variable name. I'm just gonna call it list, and then of course you gotta call it new. New is like creating a new. In Java, it is used a lot, so just remember the keyword new, and then call it again array list. This time don't put anything in it because he already has it, and also you want to create an empty list, you already has it, so just remember to put parentheses in blank and integer in blank, and then after that list dot add, and then we can put whatever we want in the list, so just like one list dot add to list dot add 3, so on and so forth. And let's just leave it up to 5 then. We could also just copy and paste it just to hurry up. 5. To be honest, here you could go in here inside of this could go any number you want to put inside. So that's about it. Now then, now that we have it, we will now that we have a method here and our list full of stuff, we're gonna have to reverse the order. So we're gonna have to use system dot out. You could also do a method to print them manually, but since we already did a return, we can just use that out dot print, or you could just also print line. That means print ln. Print is like it will appear down here. You see this? This is a list, and it will appear down here when it's. Now that we have that, we gotta call our reverse method. Now that we call it, we just need to put list, and it's done. Let's see if it doesn't break the code or it's actually working. Just press here, this red one, I mean the green play button, and just press OK, and see if it works. Something tells me it didn't. Yeah. Let's see. I think something went wrong. Let's see here. So let's see if is that no that breaks it. This is what this is it's part of the job trying to find where what errors did you did. Let's start get start, get us start first, and then set, and then start, shoot, and then list dot get will get us the value. Strange. And then set and hold and the return list. I don't know why is it not working. Oh, okay, now I remember. Thank God. I saw it before it was too late. Yeah, it's trapping an infinite loop. So we of course need to break it. Let's just start plus plus. We also need to, I forgot that we need to increment it. I was already so happy with the code that I forgot about it. Since end we have to minus minus. It will just take away whatever number is in the end and then it will add instantly. Now let's see if it works. There we go. The list is now reversed. I hope you find this tutorial good enough, I guess. And I'm also this series gonna be just doing random exercises and also it works for practice for me. I hope you have a nice day and see you in the next video.